discussing about the item categories, right? So let me just go to POV7. I'm just directly going to the direct transaction code. But again, you guys remember the path. So we were just discussing the different item categories that we have, and what are the difference between those item categories, and mainly those were the points that we were just discussing. So let's just continue inside. When we're looking at the functionality here, we have discussed about the business data of the item category, which is kind of a critical one that we will have. The business data that you have here is this section is the one which will be mainly the main changes that would be there. So the next section that we have here is the general control section. So here then you have the automatic batch determination here. So when we're talking about this field, what we will be knowing is, if in case you check this automatic automatic determination of batch, okay, so then in your system, in your sales document, there is something called a batch management that we'll talk about it. For that particular sales document type, the the batch management will be automatically determined, which means you need a batch management in order for you to use a particular document type. So in generally, batch management will be based on some material master and all. We just we'll be just using it. But if you check this box, it just controls for where when you select this item category, you're telling the system that use an automatic batch determination to find the batch. So there are batches that you entered manually as well in the sales documents that you can do it, but here you're just saying that okay, your batch management will be automatically determined in your sales document item. So again, it's directly a control at the document type level, but you can also have an automatic batch determination. But in generally batches and all, again batches also, it is very important during the delivery phase if in case the batch management is active, but not might be during the sales order phase. But if you want an automatic batch determination at the sales document level as well, as a client requirement, we'll do it. But mostly our batch determination, we will be it will be much more useful during the logistics process, that is during your delivery document creation. Okay, then the next one that you have is a rounding permitted. So rounding permitted is nothing but if you check this, then the quantities that you have in the decimal points, okay, the decimal points will be kind of if you wanted to round it, for example, if you have something like it's not the here the rounding permitted means if you want to round only the decimal points of it, for example, uh, uh, like whenever you have your order quantity, it's basically you have rounding means it's basically the nearest value that you will be rounding off. So basically it will be kind of uh, it's kind of a threshold that you can maintain, saying that if in case the rounding is here it's only saying the rounding is permitted or not. Again, you will have another place where where we maintain this rounding profile. But here you're saying for this sales document, like, whether the rounding is permitted or not. But rounding permitted means, for example, let's say if your quantity is some 10.0 something like liters, if it's calculated not in pieces, anything that you have in the decimal point, if you wanted to round up or round down, for example, if in case it is coming to around some you know uh, total quantity, if it is or if it's in liters or something, it is coming like some 10.04 or something, then you wanted to make it to 10, or you wanted to round up to 11 or round down to 10. So something like you can do it. So here we are mainly controlling whether this quantity can be rounded to match, whether we can, for this sales document, whether the rounding is permitted or not, is what that would be controlled here. So this is just one of the prerequisite fields to say, okay, whether the rounding is permitted. Then again, there's something called a rounding profile. Okay, so that particular rounding profile is what that consists of whether to round up or the round down and what is a percentage, all that will be there in that particular thing called a rounding profile. Okay, so you need to define that rounding profile, and in generally you assign it to your CMIR. If you can see in your CMIR, you will have something called uh, you know rounding profile that would be there. If you can just go to customer material info record, there's a field called rounding profile. You assign, you create a, if in case there's a rounding that is there, then the rounding profile that needs to be created, which will have the round up or the round down values, which will be assigned to your CMIR records. Okay, yeah. Then order quantity equal to 1. So order quantity equal to 1 means, if you if you check this field, maybe your sales order quantity will be kind of restricted to only one quantity. Okay, so order quantity of every sales document item, this is an item category, right? In a sales document, for this sales document, whenever you are using your whenever you're adding an item, you can have only quantity of one for that particular item. You cannot have more than one quantity. So you are restricting the line item quantity in the sales order to only one. If you have, maybe because there may be some huge some missionary production or make to order scenario that you will have, then you will be using this you know order quantity as one, because in generally it will be only one quantity that they will have in their this thing. But yeah, if you check this field, then it will be it will just restrict the quantity as one per line item. Okay, all right. So these are all the mainly that we will have, I would say, in your general control data that would be there. And again, in the transaction flow, the incompletion procedure is, again, we spoke about it, incompletion procedure that we will have. And partner determination procedure as well. You guys are aware of it, that we assign some partner determination procedure here, the standard, but how to get the partners to be determined in the customer master, same way you have in the sales document header, sales document item and all. But if you want to separate different procedure to be assigned to only to a particular uh, let's say sales document item, directly in the item category to determine some partners, you can assign it. But we will be using the same partner determination at item, in generally the procedure that you will have. And text determination is something that we will talk a bit later. What is this text determination, how the text gets determined and all. So it's basically some free text that we will have. We'll talk about it when we come to that particular topic. Then yeah, the item category, here, the mainly this the item category status group is basically you are actually different item categories you are grouping together. How you have sales document groups, where how we have seen, all the orders, you know debit memos and all can be grouped together, the similar kind of a documents here. The item category group also contains all the orders, debit memos, orders and debit memos will be part of the same thing, which means orders, whenever you place, again, there'll be a delivery and customer will have to pay you the money. Debit memo will also be same thing. Debit memo means, we have two concepts. We'll talk about it, but this credit memo and debit memo. So debit memo means it is something like, for example, you have generated, you placed an order, okay, and you have delivered to the customer and you have invoiced to the customer, okay. Once you invoice to the customer, might be because of some mistake, the invoice value is wrong. For example, if in case the customer has to like you know uh, so whenever you have, let's say, uh, just to explain, so whenever you have, for example, 1 second. let's say uh, whenever you create a sales order, maybe of some 100 quantity. Just give me a minute. So it's going. Let's, for example, you have created a sales order, okay, of some 100 quantity. Then you create an invoice. I'm directly creating an invoice. Maybe the invoice value was maybe like, like 100 rupees per piece, which will be, or maybe 10 rupees per piece, let's say. So now you have around some 1,000 rupees that is coming. But the actual invoice, the actual value of it, now here the invoice you're saying it's 10 rupees per piece, but which was supposed to be 110. Let's say, for example, the price is 110, but you have actually invoiced only for the let's say 10 rupees is what you have taken, but maybe like the actual price that was supposed to be was like 12 rupees per piece, is for example. But you have taken 10 rupees per piece, which is like 100 into 10. So you're just taking it as 1,000, but here it was supposed to be 12 rupees per piece, which has to be actually 100 into 12. So might be you may have to pay actually 1,200 rupees. The customer has to pay you actually 1,200 rupees. But whereas in your invoice you have only generated as uh, one second, yeah. I would say directly invoice. Okay, so it was 10 into 100, which equal to 1,000, but which you're supposed to be like 12 into 100, which is equal to 1,200. So there is maybe like there is 200 less that you have charged to the customer in the invoice. Now you are telling to the customer, boss, by mistake I have taken you, I have given a price of 10 rupees per you, but it was supposed to be 12 rupees. So you need to pay me 2 rupees extra per piece, which is again 200 rupees is what something that you need to pay me extra, because in my invoice I have generated initially 1,000, 1,000. Then you need to pay me 200. For this, what you do is, so you will create something called like a debit memo. So debit memo request, there will be a debit memo request. Against this, there will be a debit memo, which is an invoice of 200 rupees that you will be paying. And he will again pay you this particular amount, saying that, okay, whatever is the agreement that you will have, okay, by mistake you charged me 1,000, so I'll pay you 200. So the invoice and the debit memo will act as a similar way. Whereas in case of returns, what happens, for example, if you take, if you take returns as an example, returns will be opposite. Returns, whenever you have this return scenario, what will happen now? Whatever is, let's say let's say whatever you have, uh, like whenever in case of a returns and in case of a credit memo, which is again an opposite, which means the customer has returned you the goods back, so you need to pay him whatever you have invoiced. So returns against the invoice you will create. Now if in case he paid 1,000 rupees, so you need to give it back to him 1,000 rupees. And 1,000 rupees, how do you in generally this 1,000 rupees, how do you just take it? So you just take this 1,000 rupees you know in terms of you take the 1,000 rupees in terms of, let's say, uh, what do you call, you pay him in terms of credit memo. So there'll be kind of a credit memo request that you do it, and again, like you pay, uh, let's say you pay, uh, you know which means like the credit memo is something that you are paying to the customer, not customer is paying to you. Debit memo and invoices are where the customer has to actually pay to you the uh, the credit memo, the debit memo and the invoices. For credit memo is where you need to pay back to the customer because he has returned some goods back or something. Okay. So that's the mainly difference between debit memo and credit memo. So debit memo will still act as an invoice for you. So it will still be like an invoice that would be there. So for all our orders, and debit memo is something like, which will be under one group. Returns and credit memo will be in, yeah, under another group that you will have. Okay, so you're grouping different item categories based on what they are together. So like you're just grouping them together. Okay, then next you have here is create PO automatically. Okay, so this create PO automatically is a prerequisite. We have, in order, let's say whenever you don't have a stock, in generally what we will have is like, in case of a third party scenario and all, we will talk about it whenever we will be just discussing it. So we will have an option saying that, okay, to create a purchase order automatically in the background during the sales order creation. In generally, whenever we create anything, so you will have, in case of third party or in case of an individual purchase order, there are some scenarios that we just high level we spoke, right? In those scenarios, in generally, first the purchase requisition gets created. Again, based on the purchase requisition, the purchase order gets created in those scenarios. Now you wanted to create, let's say, a purchase, you wanted to create a purchase, let's say, a purchase order directly without a purchase requisition. Purchase requisition would be there, but you want a purchase order also to be created automatically. Then you check this box. You guys have already seen this automatic purchase order. You guys remember where you have seen it, the automatic purchase order? Automatic purchase order, where you have seen? What the hell? Where you have seen, you guys remember?
No, can't remember, Dinesh.
Okay. So automatic purchase order one, you can see it in the material master in the purchasing view. Okay. So you can see in, okay, just 1 minute. You can see it, you would have seen it in the material master. Just check in the material master purchasing view. You should have, automatic PO that would be checked. Then you could have seen in the enterprise structure in the sales org view. Whenever you define your sales organization, there you have, automatic PO checkbox. Then the third one is here, the item category. Here you have, and again, there's something that we didn't see, but you can see it. It will be there in your vendor master. So these are all the four places where you can have an automatic PO that would be there. One is in your material master purchasing view, one is in your sales organization, one is in this item category, another one is in vendor master. But for you, these three are there. And again, again in the vendor master also you will have this. So whenever you have this checkbox, then but for you the vendor master is okay. But for from a sales point of view, if you, once it is there in the material master, once it is maintained in your sales organization, once it is maintained in your in your item category, then the purchase order would get automatically determined. uh, you know uh, you're just determining a purchase order automatically in your in third party or in your let's say individual purchase order scenario. So against your item category TAS or tab, you have TAS as an item category, and you have tab as another item category. This is third party and this is TAB. If in case your vendor, if they say the vendor would be fixed, there will be kind of a fixed vendor for there won't be any again in the side they have something called a source list and all that they need to maintain. Once it's maintained, once you have this checkbox, then along with the purchase requisition, the purchase order also gets automatically determined for you in the system. Okay.
Dinesh, what will be the hierarchy, I mean, of importance for the four?
It's mandatory to have in the sales organization. It's mandatory if all these three are mandatory steps. It's not any hierarchy. It's like all the three. For me, vendor master is okay, but in your sales documents, it has to be there in the material master. It should be there in the sales organization. It should be there in the item category. All the three are mandatory for you to, let's say, determine an automatic PO, not one.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So you should have automatic purchase order in all the three places. Okay. Yeah. Then again, okay, incompletion procedure and all we have seen, but we will talk about it in detail. But whenever you go into a sales document, you will see what is an incompletion tab. Incompletion can be at the header level, at the item level. Both are possible. Partner determination is again, okay, we already spoke about it. Okay, we'll talk in detail when we come to that. Then we have the status profile. The status profile also, did we speak? Okay. So, I'll just explain quickly. Status profile is nothing but, again, this is like controlling in your system, basically, like the approval process that you have. So if in case we have seen this even at the header level, you have something called a status profile. So here, if in case you select the status profile, if in case any status profile is assigned, then it's basically you're just telling the system, uh, like what is your let's say, like what is the release procedure, or what are the different levels of approvals that you have. Maybe at the line item level, if it is different, then you'll just assign a status profile here. But yeah, we'll talk about clearly about the status profile when we will when we come to that particular topic. But using the status profile, you would be able to control, different user statuses that we have for that particular line item. But okay, we'll talk about uh, you know uh, in the main process, because this is also there at the header level. We'll talk about it when we actually come to that particular topic. Okay. Then here, this particular section is mainly for the bill of materials for the BOM concept that you have. So this particular section is mainly talking about the BOM. But yeah, we can discuss in detail when we come to the BOM topic. Uh, you know, uh, like when we come to the BOM, we'll just talk about it mainly in detail. But now, just to give you a high level overview, here you have something called config strategy. Again, this is this is again how, like like whether you know whether it's a normal strategy, or whether we'll talk about it, what are the different kind of strategies that you will have uh, you know when we come to the bombs. But here, maybe at this point of time, just give me close. Let me see if in case something important out of this field. Maybe just one point I'll just say only about the structure scope. The structure scope is basically, like here we will have bomb that explodes, right? Like bomb means you will have the parent item and you will have the child items. For example, computer, if you take computer, is a bomb. So computer will have its own components like monitor, CPU, keyboard, and it will have some hard disk, or they'll have multiple components. All these components put together is known as a bomb. Okay. So whenever you wanted to, whenever the bomb gets uh, you know whenever the bomb displays in your sales order, how you wanted to see it. Do you want to explode? Explode means, like which will show the the parent and the child, all the combinations that you have, whether it's a single level bomb or a multi-level bomb. So for example, single level bomb means, like, you have a computer, the computer has its keyboard, its mouse, its monitor, and also there's only one level. Multi-level bomb is again a bomb on bomb. For example, you have a monitor, but inside the monitor you have maybe some chip. You wanted to explore again another level inside, and again inside the keyboard maybe keys, the mouse has the scroll buttons, something like that. We'll explain in detail when we talk about the topic, how you wanted to explore the bomb, whether it's single level or multi-level is controlled by here. But this entire section is mainly for the bill of material configuration. We will see when we come to the topic what are all the important settings that you need here in order for you to work on the bomb concept. When we come to the topic, we'll talk about it. Okay, then again the value contract. Okay, again, this is mainly useful whenever you have this is mainly control for your value contract, that if you can go to WKN, which is your value contract, then you'll be maintaining your what is the value contract material. uh, you know uh, it's only applicable for the all these two is only applicable for your value contract material that you'll have. So there'll be some value contract, I would say there'll be some sort of an value contract material, and there'll be some contract release control that they have. Whatever they maintain, it's only for that particular purpose that you maintain it. So what is a here value contract material? I'm just talking. What is a value contract material means? Uh, it is used, for example, uh, I would say, if in case you have some, in a contract, whenever you, how can I explain? Uh, whenever you have, whenever you're talking about a particular, let's say, value in a contract, whenever you maintain some value contract, so there won't be any specific material that you give in a in your value contract. You're saying that if you achieve this particular value, then I'll pay you, that is your target, like, for which you'll get so much percentage or at this particular price that you get. So you're just maintaining the value in a contract, but the material, you're not specifying any material there. You won't be specifying any material in your value contract. So what happens is, like, without a material, it is not possible to determine the item category, because in the material master, okay, I'll explain in the next step. So there will be something called the item category group that you define. Okay, based on the item category group and the MRP type, there'll be an item category that needs to be determined. So without a material, it's not possible to determine your item category in your sales documents, and in the value contract you don't have a material. So that is the reason why here, just for the value contract scenario, you are just assigning some dummy material so that system can copy, okay, the item category to the whenever you have the value contract, it can copy that item category there. So you're maintaining some dummy material here that would be used only for the value contract, mentioning, okay, this is some dummy material. Based on this, system will be able to fetch some item categories that would be there. Okay. And again here, the control release, the contract release control is basically like, once the target, if in case your value is some 1 lakh rupees that you have taken, and if in case, if the contract value exceeds 1 lakh rupees, the value contract, what can, whether to give a warning message or to give an error message, or no response. If in case, if it's more value also, don't give any messages, what that would be controlled here by this, the contract release control. So basically you're just saying that, okay, when the value of if in case you maintain 1 lakh, but against the value contract you have already created some more than 1 lakh, you have already achieved the target of it. So again, when you're copying using the particular value contract and creating again some orders, how the system should behave is what we'll be just maintaining here. Okay, so these are all the important fields that you will have in your item categories, I would say. Okay, this is an item categories, and again you have defined your sales document type and you have defined your item categories. You have seen in the sales document type and you have seen in the item categories. Now let me just go to again, I'll just go to path instead of transaction code, SPRO. Let's go to sales and distribution, sales, sales documents, items. So you define your item categories. Now you have just defined your item categories that would be there. Then the next step is you need to assign these item categories, which is an important part. You need to assign the item categories. What is assigning the item categories? In this particular sales document, how that particular item category get determined. So how an item category get determined in your sales document? For example, if I just go to, I think this is closed. Okay. We go to a new sales section. If I go to VA03, if you enter particular OR, the item category is getting determined as TAN. So here my document type is OR. For that, my item category is TAN. How is that? Now you define your item categories, but how is the TAN is coming? But whenever you go to your quotation slash n VA23, I don't remember, we have some. Okay. Whenever you're creating some quotation, whenever you're creating a quotation, here the item category is determining as AGN. How is this? It's automatically getting determined here. It's based on this assign item categories. So how do you assign the item categories? It's based on your sales document type. Okay. Then you have an item category group, then usage and higher level item category. These are all the 4 parameters to get a default item category in the system. Okay. So if I select my item category, if my sales document type is OR, item category group you assigned in your material master in SalesOc2 view. In your SalesOc2 view, if you remember, you assign your, you'll be assigning, if I just take this particular material, slash show mem03. In your SalesOc2, here you'll be assigning your item category group as norm. Here also you have general item category group, which is also important. This is for your procurement process. From an MM point of view, they use general item category group to do an inbound delivery. And for us, whenever we are talking about SD, then for us, the item category group is very important. So we assign an item category group called norm. So how is that it is getting determined? Now, if I just go to sales org type as this and item category group as norm, then I get tan. So this is our default item category called tan that is coming. And here, instead of automatically, if I want to change this and enter something manually, what are all the item categories that are allowed to enter manually? So you're saying tan gets determined automatically, but I will be entering tab, TAQ or TANN manually. So these are all the manual item categories that you can edit. If you maintain a manual item category here, then system will allow you to change the default item category manually in your sales order for this. If you don't maintain here, then you are not you cannot, system will not allow you to change the item category. Whatever is default is default. If you maintain it manual item category, those are all the things that system will allow you to change. Okay, similarly, if I just go to sales document type as QT and norm, then you can see against QT and norm, AGN gets determined automatically. Now system will allow me only to change to AGNN. If I just go in the create mode of my quotation, uh, I'll just go in the create mode of my quotation. If I try to change the item category to instead of AGN, I'll just change it to AGX. System will not allow me. AGX is not defined for this item, but if I try to enter AGNN, then system will allow me to change it. Okay, it will allow me to change it because I maintained manual item category as AGNN. Whatever you maintain, for example, if I maintain AGX here, then system will allow me to enter AGX as well. So like that, whatever you maintain in the manual item category, system will allow you to change it. So based on your sales document type and your item category, we'll talk about usage and higher level item category. It can be blank as well. Like, based on your sales document type and item category, then usage and high level item category, you will define something called what is your default item category in the system. Okay, so this is how you maintain it. But now let's just talk about in the item category determination. This is kind of a rule that that how the system will take into consideration. Excuse me guys, give me 2 minutes. Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yes, Dinesh. Can I ask
Okay,
a doubt now?
yeah, please tell me.
Uh, Regarding the general item category group in Material Master, the field you talked about,
Mm-hmm,
where we'll be able to create an inbound delivery.
mm-hmm,
So, I mean, if we maintain that only, then let's say in a scenario where I had to create a production outbound delivery from the production plant, so automatically an inbound delivery was created for the purchasing plant. So this was like for a third party scenario. So is that
Mhm.
how it works, or we directly create inbound delivery in VL31 and
Depend, like,
uh,
automatic or anything, for an inbound delivery creation, you need a general item category group. Because without an item cat, see now, inbound delivery, whenever you're just talking about an inbound delivery, it's not directly a GR. So whenever you talk about an inbound delivery that you will have, so basically, like, you're saying that it's controlled with a delivery. So every inbound delivery, the delivery document should be associated with its relevant item category. Without item category, you cannot do a delivery document. How do you get an item category? The item category should be with the help of an item category group. So in the delivery settings, we'll come to it, but in the delivery settings, every like every inbound delivery is associated with a delivery type, and inside the delivery type there'll be a default order type that you'll be assigning, and for an order type there'll be an item category that would be there. To determine that item category, you need this general item category group to determine this item category. So any delivery document, if you're creating it, so without having the general item category group assigned, you cannot create an inbound delivery, because there are multiple links to it, because the item category group is again linked to your to determine your item category, and the item category is again linked to your sales document type, default sales document type, and default sales document type is assigned in your delivery type, and that delivery type is what you will be using in your inbound delivery. To create an inbound delivery using VL31N, you need an delivery type. So for that
okay,
delivery type, there'll be a default order type in the configuration that would be there. So yeah,
okay,
so this is one of the important fields without which you will not be able to create inbound delivery as well.
okay, okay, Nish, yeah.
All right, now this is how you have this. Now here, for example, the sales document type that we are talking about, and we're talking about the item category group. Then the third thing called, we have something called a usage. These two are clear, right? This is sales document type. We have item category group that we are seeing. Then you have something called a usage. Usage is nothing but uh, you know the like the usage. Whenever you use this usage, it is basically like this will be useful in terms of, for example, uh, I would say you wanted, maybe you wanted to differentiate, you wanted to have a different item category to be determined in the system, by considering this. For example, now, if I go to OR and NORM, for example, if I just go to OR and NORM, it determines tan as my item category. But maybe you have a requirement, uh, let's say I don't want, maybe this always gets determined as an as norm, but you wanted, maybe like in your sales order, you wanted to differentiate what is a main item, what is a sub item. Let's say, for example, so you have something like you have some main item under which there are some sub items and all. So I would like to determine them, maybe in case of some bomb. Let's just take an example that you have some main item and a sub item. So you wanted to differentiate, okay, what is my main item, what is my sub item in your system. So at that time you have something called, to determine for the sub item, you use OR norm, then you use this what is it, here, PSHP. So using this will be your main item where you define tax is again same as a header item. Then you wanted to determine sub item, so sub item is based on this tax that you will have. So if you wanted to determine sub item, then again you would say OR norm PH. Okay, now here, whenever you're just talking about the, let's say, the sub item, it's not PH, PSEL, and the higher level item category is the item category that gets determined here, which is TAX. Then you get something called TA, TAPS. So we mainly, this usage is useful if you wanted to determine, for example, a different item category. For example, the best example like that I could give is, now you wanted to determine your free goods. Okay, so you wanted to determine your free goods in your sales order. So what happens now, your or norm, whenever you enter this, it becomes tan is your default item category but you wanted to determine a free goods, not a normal free goods. I mean normal item. If in case this tan is there, then this is relevant for your pricing. So it's not a free good, it's not, you're not giving for 100% discount, it has some all the relevance of delivery, everything in that item category. But I want free goods. How can I determine free goods? Then you use or it's only for free goods norm. Then I'll in that case I'll use something called free. So OR norm free, and higher level item category is required or not required, we can just keep it, and it determines tan, which means for this, if you this usage is mainly helpful, in order for you to uh, let's say in order for you to differentiate to get a different item category. So you can define, like you can define the usage however, whatever you want, you can just define them and you can just assign. So if I just go back, I'll just come back here. If I just go one step back, uh, now if I just go here, uh, like just above this, you have something called define item category usage. So usage can be any custom usage. If you want to define as well, you can define your own usage. There's no limit to the usage on what you create. You create some usage and you determine your usage accordingly. It does not have any functionality inside a particular usage. But whenever you create any the custom usage and all that you have, maybe some because you wanted to have a different item category that needs to be getting determined, then it is part of the coding. In the coding itself, you will be differentiating. But maybe you say not coding, I wanted maybe only for specific things you want some coding. But you would say, okay, no, I wanted to create some item usage, but by default I want it to be coming without any without any developing. I wanted to get you know the like I wanted it to be getting determined automatically. Then you will have to actually work on your uh, customer material info record. Just give me 1 minute. Mihira. Sorry guys. Okay. uh, so yeah, I was just talking about, you can define your own item category usage and you can assign them. So I was just telling, if in case, let's say you wanted, in generally what we do is, whenever we define any usage that has any different item categories to be determined, if any custom logic would be there, the custom item category that goods determine, then in that case what you do is, we actually use the we actually code it in such a way that to consider this particular usage that would be there, apart from the standard that we have. So So we have some standard usages like free, or let's say in case of some cross selling and all, there's a concept that we call it. We will talk about it, the cross selling and all, there's a concept. So for example, NORM, and for the cross selling it's CSCL. Yes. So there will be some there will be it is still tan that you have here, but still you wanted it to differentiate between a regular, let's say regular tan to a cross selling. Cross selling is, again, there's a concept where customer places an order to particular material, where you try to sell some other product to him as well. There's a concept, we'll talk about it. In that case, you wanted to differentiate whether it's a normal tan or whether it's a different one. Similarly, like even during the bomb and all, we will be talking, like we will be using this. So this usage is basically useful in multiple places where you wanted to determine than a standard. So you wanted to determine another way of determination. Okay, for that this usage would be there. So you can create your own usage as well in the system. You can create your own usage. You can assign that usage to determine a different item category. And in just assigning that, it will not get triggered automatically. You have a transaction, like if you go to your customer material info record, in your customer material info record, if in case there is an info record that is there, guess just because there's so many topics that we were just discussing. So we already spoke about CMIR, right? Okay, good. Okay, I was just wondering whether I explained or not suddenly. Okay, now if you go to this customer material info record, so in this customer material info record, you maintain, let's say, your number and your customer number and all, whatever you have, you just maintain it. Okay, it does not exist. It's okay, because it's a, let's say, I'll take whatever is a material that is existing. I would say, so there's a material number, ABCD. You guys remember? Just enter here. Just go inside the details. Inside the details. So here you have something called an item usage. Okay. Here all the usages that are defined can be seen here. Whatever is the usage that you have defined there can be can be assigned. So you can define your own usage, define item category usage, and you can assign it in your info record for it to use, so that for that particular customer and material combination, whenever you have it, the item category usage will again come into the picture, to determine your item categories. But again, that won't be specific to all. Whatever you maintain here will not be specific to every customer, but whatever the usage that you create, based on the usage, the default item category could be changed based on this CMIR. So whenever you define your usage, and once you maintain this default item category, you will have to maintain in your CMIR records, you have something called an item usage, you can just assign it here. Then for that customer, the the default item category could be changed. But maybe you could say there are some hundreds of customers. For everything, the master data needs to be updated, and maybe the logic could be different based on the scenario, that not by default I want this to be coming only in certain scenarios, I want it to be triggered. There can be multiple logics that we can talk to determine. At that point of time, then it has to be, you'll have to use that usage in the program. The program is what, whenever we do, we will use it, we'll give it to an ABAPer to use that. Okay, you please use this particular usage in this scenario. Some prerequisite conditions we'll give in order for him to determine a right kind of an item category. So you define it and you assign it here, but it won't be directly any standard usage. It's already, will be part of the code. For example, free that we talk about, or the item, other the other usages that we just spoke about, like what do you call that, ph, I'll just go down. whatever you can see here, the PHSP that you have, I mean PSHP that you have, and for the cross selling that I said, where is cross selling? Or norm CSCL. So for all this standard usage system, the SAP has already done some coding. It's already part of the code during your sales document creation and all. So, by default, if you maintain this for the cross selling, it comes for the free goods, whatever you maintain, system will automatically get it. How? Because, SAP has already done the relevant configuration related to that. But for, uh, go brush your teeth. Okay. For, for let's say for any custom usages, anything that you create, then you'll have to just code specifically, or you'll have to maintain uh, in your info record, okay, in your CMIR data. Okay, again yeah, so this is about the usage and the higher level item category that you have. Higher level item category is nothing but this is mainly useful when you have the parent item and a sub item. Maybe I just spoke about something like the product selection main item and the sub items that we spoke, right? So those are mainly we could just use this in terms of BOM. So when we come to the BOM, we will talk in detail about this, but about this. But for whenever you're talking about a BOM, so let's say I just give you. So we have OR item category group as BANS for BOM. It's a different item category group that you will have. Bands, and the TAS gets determined here. But you have some scenarios where you wanted, uh, let's say, maybe, okay, we'll talk about when we talk about the BOM mainly, because I don't want to just confuse you. But there is another item category called OR, norm, and we have something called TAQ. Then you'll have something like TAE that gets determined, but this is all part of the BOM concept. But we'll talk about it when we come into but it's basically understand BOM, the whatever the higher level item category is just the same item category that you use. Whatever is the item category that you define here, you assign that particular item category to determine another item category. So basically, like, this will be higher level, will be like a header item category under which there'll be a the child item categories. So you have a parent material under which there'll be a child materials. Then you will use this higher level item category to define the children. So basically, so whenever you explode a BOM, the components, I call it, if you don't want the terminology, because I'm just saying children. So basically it's the components that you call them, to explode the components of a main material. Like, you have a main material, then you have, like, the sub components of it. If you want to explode them, then you use this higher level item category there. But yeah, we will talk about mainly, like, this higher level item category and all when we come to that BOM concept. That is where we can be using mainly. And we have another concept called material determination as well. There as well we'll be using mainly this item category, higher level item category groups. So when you actually change that, then might be it is easier for you to understand, okay, what is the use of this higher level item category and all. Okay. Then again, there are many concepts. I think we will be using it when I'm just thinking now. We'll be using it in consignment process. A lot of process we'll be using them, but yeah, we'll see when we come to that topic. Okay. So at the moment, sales document type, item category group, usage, and higher level item category will give you a default item category. So whenever you define your own order types, okay, you can define your own order types. At the moment, use the standard item category groups. If you want to define your item category groups also, you can define it. I'll just show you. Then usage and high level item category, understand at the moment. Maybe for free goods and all, we can use it when we come to the topic. And assign your default item category. So you create your own item category, TAN, you create your own item category, maybe ZTN or whatever you want. And to your sales document type, assign your item category group and see whether the right item category gets determined or not. If you want to define your own item category group like norm, BANS and all, just come here, just create whatever you want. And this is also again just like it does not have any much of functionality inside. It's just that anything that you can create in the item category group, and you can you just have to make this assignment in a right way to determine it. So but yeah, at the moment just use standard item category group only, no need to create new, but just create an item categories, create usages and all. At the moment not much required. Create your own item categories, create your own sales document types, and assign your sales document types and item category groups to your default item categories. Okay. That way you'll be able to find it. Clear on this item categories?
I have a question, Dinesh.
Yeah.
Let's say for default item category we have TN, and manual item category we have TAS. So if we change
Mhm.
it in quotation or sales order the item category to TAS, will that material be automatically be applicable for third party even though it might not have been maintained as a third party material in material master?
Yes, because whatever you maintain it, because TAS, whenever you maintain a manual item category, you're just maintaining it as a, you don't need any let's say BOM and all, let's say you don't need any third party of bans and all that is assigned. So as soon as you assign the manual item category there, then system will automatically consider it as an third party material. So even though it is norm, so it's fine. So you're manually changing it. So you need that item category group in the material master to define it automatically. But if you want to change it manually, it's the moment you change it to TAS, so it is treated as a third party material if you maintain this manual item.
Even though there's no vendor or any third party sourcing setup for that material in material master or customer
See,
master.
so as long as you change it to task, it becomes a third-party material. But again, whether you can create a purchase order automatically or a purchase requisition automatically, if you don't have anything, then you cannot create anything. As long as you don't have any vendor master, or if you don't have any purchase, like let's say, but purchase requisition, until purchase requisition you can create, because you don't need any let's say a vendor or anything until you require a purchase requisition, right? So if you need to proceed ahead, as a third party, then you would need all the vendor master. You need to have all the configuration customizing. But for
Okay.
creating a purchase requisition, what do you need? You just need a material, and you just
Yeah.
need the requirement of a quantity. Apart from that, and the plan that you there, all that you will always be there in the sales order. So until requisition, it will not stop you. It will directly treat it as a third party material whenever you change it to TAS.
Okay.
Only
Okay. Got it.
proceeding from there is what you cannot do if you don't have the right source list, or if you don't have the right vendors, or everything that would be there. But only prerequisite that would be there is, again, like the purchasing view should be there for that particular material master, because without a purchasing view you cannot create a purchase requisition or a purchase order. If in case the material master, the views exist, uh, let's say the purchasing view as well as the sales views, you change it to tasks, then system will automatically create your purchase requisition. It should not
Okay.
there won't be any issue there.
Okay. Okay, Dinesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so this is for the assignment part of your item cat. I know maybe few things might be a bit at this point of time you guys might be mainly finding a bit difficult to understand this usage or high level item category. It's fine. It's fine. Huh? So don't need to worry much at the moment. Like try to understand what is, at least just a definition. Try to understand usage means, okay, is something like you wanted to have a different way of getting a different item category than a standard. You use usage. You can define whatever usage you want, then you will be able to use it to determine that item category. Similarly, high level item category is used in terms of where you have this the parent and child relationship. Whenever you have it, you use this high level item category, which will be mainly used in terms of material determination, or in some consignment process, or in some let's say bomb scenario and all. We will be using this higher level item category. Okay, so understand that when we come to those topics, we will see how do we assign high level item categories and all that. Okay, so this is all about the item category assignment that you have. Then the third thing that we will be seeing will be the schedule lines. Okay, so inside every sales document type that you have, there will be a schedule lines that gets determined. So in all the sales document types, you'll have schedule lines. So if I just go inside, just double click. If I just go here, okay, this is at the quotation level. Okay, quotation, I have a schedule line called BN that is getting determined. Okay, uh, then again, let's say I'll just save it. I know I don't have the validity period. If I just go to, let's say, VA03, then I will have something called a schedule line CP that is getting determined here. So basically, these schedule lines are nothing but, again, what will schedule line control? The schedule line controls what are your delivery dates and your confirmed quantities. When you can confirm the quantities, by when the delivery date can be possible, and what is your confirmed quantities. So this is mainly controlled by schedule line, by your schedule lines, and we will be just seeing now how is this schedule lines getting determined automatically in the system. It's based on schedule line category called, here you have something called a schedule line category. So what are all the schedule line categories that you will have? So you define your own schedule line categories here, and we'll be assigning the schedule line categories. So by default in the system, so whenever we talk about this, uh, whenever I just talk about, maybe for an inquiry, okay, forget. Whenever I talk about schedule line categories, then might be for an inquiry that you have will be 80 that gets determined here. Again, for quotation, it's BT is what we have seen now, right? BN, sorry. So BN is for quotation that gets determined. Same way for an order, you have either CP or CN. We'll see the difference, what is CP or CN that would be there for the order. And again, for the returns, there will be DN that gets determined. And yeah, so we will just see for the STO, which is some NN or NR, if I remember correctly. And for the third party, yes, right? Correct. Yeah. Vivo V5. No, sorry, Vivo V6. Yeah, for the third party, it is CS that gets determined for the third party. Same way for the IPO, it has to be CB, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, when you created it, whatever you assign, yeah, individual purchase order is CB that gets determined here. And yeah, whatever you have from an assignment, you will be able to find out based on the item category what is the schedule and that is there. But just for example, I'm just giving some of the examples of the item, the schedule and categories that you have here. Now, mainly, again, CP and CN, as I said, for the sales order, let me just take CP. The main difference between CP or CN will be, this is based on MRP that you will have. CN is without MRP. So CN is without MRP and CP is with MRP. So basically you need this, whether there will be an MRP run or there will not be an MRP run. So we will, the main difference here is in the CP. Okay, we'll talk about the different fields and we'll know. Okay, now in the schedule line category, now it controls your delivery dates. And again, here we have mainly thing, delivery block. Whenever you have this particular field, if you want to block something by default, you know for this, whenever the schedule and category is getting determined, if you want to block, then you use this delivery block. So by default it would be blocked and someone has to go and release it. It will be useful if in case you wanted to block a particular schedule line category, or in the schedule line you will have something called delivery blocks as well, that would be getting determined here. There's something called a delivery block that gets determined here. So if you want to block your schedule line, then you use this delivery block. Then someone has to go and manually remove this delivery block in order to proceed ahead for the for the creation of delivery and all. Now then you have the movement type. So movement type is the one which is very important, like which controls in your, what kind of, this movement type is the one that controls, okay, what kind of a movement, uh, what will be the what will be the movement type for this goods issue. Like whenever we come to the delivery, we'll talk about it. So basically you have every inventory or any movement of goods, any movement of goods in SAP. Like you wanted to move the goods from one place to another place, or you wanted to remove the stock from and give it to the to the customer, or if you want to procure the stock, anything that you move a particular material will be associated with a movement type. So there'll be an movement type that will be associated. Now here we are talking about an sales order, a regular sales order. Then the movement type will become your delivery movement type, which is 601. 601 is the movement type. The standard that you have is for the goods issue. So whenever you're delivering the goods to the customer, it is 601. Similarly, if I try to take, let's say, a third party CS scenario and all, then there won't be any movement type, because there'll be a purchase order and a requisition that gets created here. And whenever I talk about maybe consignment issue, CI, consignment issue is not CI, is it? Consignment issue C1, sorry, C1. Then you have 633 as your movement type that you will have. Then again, consignment fill up. There's a concept called consignment fill up, consignment issue and all. We'll talk about it, when we come to that. I'm just wanted to show the difference that would be there. So here there'll be a movement type called 631, 632. So every consignment is again like, uh, you're going and placing a particular we'll talk about that in detail. You're going and placing your stock at a particular customer location, where you're still the owner of that particular stock until it is consumed by that particular customer. Then you will have something called a consignment process that we'll talk about in detail. So here mainly the inside the schedule and category, so you have something called, I'll go to CP. So you have the movement types that would be there, that would control, okay, what is the movement type of this, like uh, like like whether there's a block, where is that movement type, uh, like for example, uh, this movement type, okay, whenever I'm doing an outbound delivery, then okay, 601 movement type is what that gets generated. So in order, as I mentioned, any physical movement of goods would be associated with a movement type that we'll have. And again, based on this movement type, what happens, the movement type also controls the stocks, whether the stock has reduced, should reduce, or the stock should increase. It also controls whether any accounting document to be posted, if getting posted, what is an accounting document that needs to get generated. All that will be controlled by this movement type. Now for example, uh, we if I just go to uh, I think returns DN, right? For example, if I just go to returns now, If I go to DN, then there is a moment type called 651. So which is saying that you're not actually sending the goods to the customer, it is a returns delivery, which means you will be receiving the goods from the customer. So in that case, the accounting document would be reverse. We'll talk about what are the different accounting documents and all that would be there. But today we'll just see, we are just talking about every physical movement of stock in the warehouse will be associated with a movement type, and that is a movement type that you assign here. So we have standard movement types that you need to remember. So I'll just explain some of the movement types that we used regularly for our business scenario, for our business processes. Might be in tomorrow's class along with 601, 651, again 657. There are for the STO scenario we have them, but when we come to the topic also we'll discuss. But okay, we'll just give a high level overview about what are all the movement types that are there, and what are the accounting documents that gets generated once you have these movement types. Those will be in generally part of some of the important interview questions that we ask. What is an accounting document that gets generated once you do a goods issue? What is an accounting document that gets generated when you in an STO scenario, intercompany STO scenario? So like that we will have some discussion. But okay, I think we can discuss it in tomorrow's class. uh, m- More details about the movement types and the rest of the fields. Okay, I'll mainly we'll talk about in tomorrow's class. So once this is done, you guys should be the main three settings, the main SD document types, item categories, and schedule and categories should be over, and you should be able to create the sales document types. Then we will talk about the delivery document types, invoice and all in the later point of time. We will start with certain processes and important things that you will have in the sales order, like pricing, procedure determination, material determination. There are a lot of things in the sales document types that we will have. We'll talk about all those special processes that we will have. Okay. So tomorrow we'll try to finish with schedule and category. Then afterwards we'll talk in detail about uh, you know uh, the class afterwards, mainly on the different processes that we have before we go into the delivery and invoice.